Is this working? Check, check, check. Is this working? Yeah, I guess it's working. Always have to check if it's working. So, good day, folks. It's been a while. Been pretty busy with things here. I've been redesigning my little research corner a little bit, as you can see here, to better suit my needs. It was getting a little crowded and hard to find things for the experiments, and yeah, everything is going pretty good. Research progress, as most of you who follow me know by now, I've been experimenting with the quantum power cells. That's still doing pretty good. Actually, they're all right here. I actually broke a few by accident here because I shake sometimes, and when I drop these, they shatter like, sugar crystal, basically. That's why I like the cement one better, see? This block one hasn't. But yeah, so I understand some people find there's no value in this sort of thing, and they're more interested in Bedini systems and Don Smiths. And I've done all of that, and it's really awesome. I really enjoy it. But as many of you have already seen, I think I've covered the most I can in the theory anyways on all these systems. A lot more so I'd like to believe anyways that most people who have similar videos, I've always been proud of being really deep in the theory, trying to simplify it, trying to rephrase it in my own terms to make it easier to understand for people. And what was pretty good is I've actually been pretty good at demonstrating on a small scale, up to a few watts. And when I got lucky with the Bedini stuff, momentarily for 100 watts or so. So I got very lucky with that, but far from mainstream, very difficult to, for various reasons, to keep stable all these conditions. So I like all of that, but people want it all upscale, right? They don't care about, oh, geez, he's able to take 7 watts out of the one-wire system when you only have 40 milliamps input. I think that's pretty good, but I get it. People are looking for the big stuff, right? So I have my limits financially and elsewise, space-wise and everything. So unless I get a workshop, and a bit of tools, I can't really upscale this to the size everybody would like to see. But it's not out of my goals if I could get that. So I've always been looking around, the neighborhood, make friends and whatnot, who may have the space, a basement, a garage, a shop, anything, the basement of a business even, to have a lab or even access to a basic workshop tools. And it seems like the community here, I don't know if I've told you folks, but I don't associate very well with the society once they find out what I'm all about and the experiments and very small, remote, isolated communities where everybody knows everybody's business very hard, right? I was, according to, if you've seen some of my earlier videos, I was in Timmins, Ontario for a while. I came back to Cochrane after about 4 years of that, 4 or 5 years. I couldn't handle it no more. The Timmins police was always all over me, harassing me all the time. It was just, I've explained all the details in earlier videos. I don't want to reminisce on that again, but it's like the more I reach out and trying to tell people what I'm into, what I would need if they want, if they're interested, it seems like, oh, he's the crazy wacko free energy guy, let's not give him the satisfaction. It seems like they get a thrill, of knowing they could have the space, they have the space, but they won't give it to me because I'm the crazy one. So I'm quickly learning, folks, that I'm going to be all on my own with all of this. Unless I move someplace, I win $1 million or something, I can go to Toronto and be more closer to other researchers and possibly clubs and whatnot. But as it is here, I'm on my own, and it seems like I'm going to have to do everything on my own. So I've been pretty quiet in the last few days, thinking it over and trying to figure out a game plan for all of this. And finally, I came to the conclusion. I have an old collection. I've been collecting vintage computers all my life, some side project of mine, all the way to DOS systems, maybe a few Commodores in there, and many video games. all stashed in bins at my mother's and my father's place out of town. So I was thinking, put all that on eBay and get the money for that and use that. I know I can't do a workshop in here, I'd get in trouble, but after thinking about it, if I have the space, I can make the space. As you've seen, I've been reorganizing for space in the closets and everything. Remote power tools, wireless skill saws, little things like that. During the summertime, I could go outside and, use the stuff as long as I can bring it safely back when I'm done, right? So there's an option for potentially getting back into like the Bedini stuff, but the actual bike wheel version. I've always wanted to build that, a multiple coiler maybe. And moving on to the Don Smith stuff, magnetic amplifiers, love to experiment. I've got with the radio background and the ham radios, there's already, surplus auto tuners, resonance, and impedance matching. I think a clever mechanism of that with the Bedini system, and you wouldn't have to babysit it. Whether it's environmental changes or battery condition changes, the auto sensing would just balance out the circuit. You wouldn't have to worry about it. So all in the future, yeah, but not in the near future. So I've been concentrating on things that I could actually experiment with, like these quantum power cells. And even there, I pretty well took it to the maximum. I still like monitoring them because, it's the thrill of knowing it's been a month now, basically, and they're still working well. And the few that broke, believe it or not, looked into it, cleaned it all out, no corrosion whatsoever. So that's pretty awesome. That's a good sign there. On the long run, I probably had to raise some money enough for a 3D printer. Seems to be the next thing to do. Is if whether it be cells or plates for Bedinis, whatever, very practical these days. Prices are going down a lot. I think that's going to be a necessity. If I can't, mechanically cut wood and do metal plates and that, maybe I can print it. The next best thing, right? So that's in the works, but first to sell all that vintage stuff that I, as a collection I wanted to keep, but priorities in life, getting older, I only have one shot at all of this, so may as well do that. I figure maybe in a week or so, I'm going to have all that starting anyways, listing on eBay. And what I'm doing now is focusing mostly on theory, and I'm binding a bunch of physics, electromagnetic waves, and all various, my research note, does gravity have inertia, calculations, plots, Lorentz stuff here, faster than light propagation or scalar waves, anomalies in electromagnetism that Tom Bearden was talking about. I printed the excerpts from that book and all the curve plots to give me ideas. So just putting that all in there. Also printed out my Maxwell wiki because sometimes for me it's easier to just be able to have it in a book format, highlight a few points, easier to. It's a whole book. I did pretty good on that. So I'm just going to walk around here and see if anybody's logged in and say hello. You are not alone, Joel. You got all 2,000. Awesome. Yeah, well, it's doing really good because I'm surprised that it actually got that much and people are talking. So, yeah, I'm really still doing all my organizing here. And it says people were asking, right, beginning of electronics. They want to know electronics, the beginning stuff, right? Where should they start, they ask. Well, believe it or not, I collect these things here, which are like the kits, because, it seems kiddish, but, if you're looking for traditional, crash course in electronics, this stuff is great because it's well formatted, it's easy to understand. And even once in a while, for me, I'll look through this and I get basic ideas, So these things are great, I find. So for the people who are asking, traditional electronics, where should I start? I know nothing about how to connect a light bulb because we talk about closed loops and open loops and impedances. Well, this stuff is really good, Value Village and all those places, those thrift stores will usually have, they're missing half the parts, but if you can get the booklets, they've got a lot of good in this one too. Another one here. Like I don't have the modules, but I like the books because you have all the circuit ideas. See? And it's all traditional NPN amplifier, PNP amplifier. Um, you have all your light dimmer circuits and relays charging, for pulse generations and photo sensors for, possibly cap dump circuits, opto isolators, SCR, all of this stuff that could be applicable, with just another hop to use with what we do. And I like this one here in a ham radio handbook. This is all hydrogen stuff, a course on hydrogen and fuel cells. More free energy stuff, basic electricity from the military, the U.S. Navy, very good, basic electricity. It doesn't go as, if you want the full details, but what's nice about the military is easy to understand. They make it so simple, if they could find a way of doing it without beating around the bush, they'll go, here's the diagram, here are the impedance, here's the math, don't ask questions, it's this simple. Next. This is what I think is really awesome with them. It's what you need to know under the framework of traditional electronics, of course, but very well, and relative to everything else that's out there that could really confuse you. These people really put it into, you're basically a teenager out of school, out of high school, and you can understand this stuff. This stuff here is all fitness and nutrition. I was into that for a while. A bunch of my stuff here, sensors. My parts are all here now, easier to access. So yeah, with that said, working on mostly theory stuff these days, not much to post about. Working on my sales, if I can get that going so I can start buying tools and stuff to, I'm starting to be more interested in the interactions of gravity and transmutation, teleportation, believe it or not, a bit of time travel and that sort of thing. But it's all in relevance to alternate energy systems, because once you start poking in these systems, the interactions they reveal are quite relevant to what we're doing as well. So by researching, how gravity works, it gives you insights on, how to enhance a Bedini wheel and stuff like that. So very relevant, but just something that, that I can do right now, that I could research instead of not doing anything. And I want to experiment with transmutation as well, because there's a lot of exotic materials out there, like solid state electrolytes. And when you, on the quantum scale, when you put together, you can create major energy sources and other anomalies. So my philosophy these days is, if you can't find it, maybe synthesize it. So if we can transmutate everyday objects into exotic objects and use those instead, using relatively simple methods, then that's something worth exploring. So with that said, looking into the high voltage stuff, scalar waves, phase mixing and all that fun stuff, kind of like what John Hutchinson was doing, but more on a tame, controlled kind of environment that won't get me in trouble. But essentially the same stuff. Yeah. So that's what's going on now. Not much more to share. Quantum cells are doing good. I probably need a 3D printer to build, the professional cell stack I want to build and isolate them right. In the works, one thing at a time, start the eBay stuff. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep, doing all my research in books and stuff, and giving me some ideas. See who's online here. Yeah, I know 200 on the marketplace, and some of them, if it's a kit, you can get for almost free these days. So yeah, it's doing really, really good. I've noticed that. So some sales on eBay should do it. And that'll probably be the first item on the list. It's like everything, right? Gears, brackets, support. I mean, even for your coils, like that thing over there. So yeah, lots of usage for 3D printer. They were like 2000 when they first started, and it took forever to make a little something. It really went quite well. So yeah, what else to talk about? I really don't know what to talk about here. I hate it when I don't have anything when I don't progress due to circumstances that I can't control right now. I get angry because I have all these ideas in my mind. If only I had this, if only I had that, and I'd be out there doing this. But you gotta take a deep breath, and I've been planning it out. I'm gonna sell all my vintage stuff, and you are on your own, like they say, and I'll do what I can and document what I can and share what I can and see where all of this takes us, along with all my interests. And I got a lot of actually good stuff. I've made a lot of progress in the transmutation, but I'm not there yet to actually make a video. But some really, really good insights. Actually, how to produce the Hutchinson effect in a much more controlled, that won't mess around with your neighbor's stuff so much. So I'll have to come around and make a video of all the mechanisms and the system with that, an alternative solution that goes the same thing with the spin, essentially, the mechanical version. So yeah, what to talk about? It's cold here today. It's snowing actually. It got to like 70 last week, and now we're back to snow. Can't believe it. Can't even go out there and put a ground rod. I hate that, to do an experiment with my earth potentials since the winter. Can't do that in this apartment, so I can't just leave a rod in the middle of the lawn, right? They'll be like, what's this? But between me and you folks, late at night there, I'll go out there and for an experiment, find a nice spot and leave it there for 4 or 5 hours and take it down. No one notices. That's what counts. So how we doing here? Love the CD V700. CD V700. What would that be now? My scanner, my charger, my solder station, the radiation meter, my binder, the printer. Yellow, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it works well actually. I use this to because a little secret about these. It triggers by changes in ionization. So the one wire system or anything like it will trigger this thing. So if you want to know if you've got a lot of scalar potential, a strong scalar wave, this acts as a great detector. So if you're playing with Hutchinson like stuff, wave mixing and all that, crude, rudimentary, but very efficient sensor. So if you're wondering, that's basically the primary use near the Tesla coils. It gives me an idea of the ionization strength, even though it's not ionizing radiation, if you see what I'm getting at. The tube doesn't tell the difference very well. It just goes, oh, ionization, okay. X-rays. I used it for that too, X-ray detection of the Tesla coils. They sometimes produce X-ray fields, soft X-rays to be precise, but still an interesting phenomenon, especially if you put like a light bulb on top of your Tesla coil, they'll emit X-rays. So that's really cool. A way to measure that anyways, ballpark figure. Down here is all tools, solder stuff, WD-40, think I need that today. But I'm happy because now everything, all of this was like all on my table, and I had like no room to do my research with. So now at least it's all there. So if I need to do something with the solder, well, I can just take it out real quick, put it back where it's out of sight, out of way, keep the space. So future prospects, folks, future prospects. And the screen here, which I'm hoping could be useful for presentations and whatnot at some point, instead of using the whiteboard all the time. But I'm having problems with the layout. The reflection is never right. In the daytime, all I get is the sun. In the nighttime, unless my camera is by the hallway, I get the reflections from the light, then the angle isn't right. So it's very hard to just fluke the best, quote unquote set when you just have a home. But it's a lot better than what it was, I have to say that. I mean, I must have tripled my efficiency in space here just by moving all of this around. And I was also able to take a lot of closet space out and store more stuff. So I have lots of space in the closet now for my future power tools, which I will only operate outside. If anyone local is watching, don't report me to the building. All outside, 100%. I understand it's not a workshop, it's a living apartment. There are rules to the game, folks, we are all a part of. Gotta respect that. Yeah, hello everyone who's just dropping by here. I was just giving everyone an update on my research and my goals and funding issues. So this way here, I won't have to depend and keep, bothering people, can you support my research? Can you support my research? And, it's, people will, if you ask them, I've noticed that. But then it's like, if you don't produce what they think you can produce, whether they tell you or not, these people disappear. So I don't like the feeling of that. And I'm not into, doing the Patreon thing. I see other people, I'm not going to mention names or anything, in the similar fields where they're like, if my Patreon account tips to a certain amount, I'll show you, the anti-gravity and phasing photos and disappearing. And, I don't want to argue with people. I do my thing, let them do their thing. But, I roll my eyes, because I understand that this is not a fleet that you can do with, 20 watts or 50 watts. Very, very specific circumstantial configurations to do that. And only very few have been able to do that. And it's not, I can tell you right now, it won't be me either in a living room table. So I know, to be honest, I wouldn't even do that to tell people, even as an incentive to try and donate, because it's even if my heart would be in the right place, it's still being deceptive. It's like, come on, why would you say that? But whatever floats your boat, right? I mean, I mind my own business. I do my own research. People are adults, they can do their research. If you smell something that doesn't smell right, look into it, including myself. I always ask, I always tell people, don't take my word for it from just one video. Look at all of the stuff I've posted from the start, and the links and the resources and the Maxwell stuff. And once you read that, then come back to me and tell me if I'm wrong, right? So, no, it's not to deceive people. It's not my goal. But sometimes, it's like shooting myself in the foot, because if I were to do those things, I'd advance quicker. But then it'd be personal interest, right? Labeled as. But whatever, I understand everybody has a bias. It's human nature, personal interest. I mean, I do to some point. I wouldn't be, to be honest, if I would say otherwise, it's not in the form of money. Me, it's more in the form of recognition. I'll provide everything out there, but I have a kind of a thrill when I see my name out there. But that's all it is, I don't ask for money. I don't ask for anything. Just put the information out there, use it, make it better. You know, but a little mention of, oh, got this idea from Joel would be nice. That's all. And most people do. You don't even have to tell them that. It's just common sense, right? If you're using someone's circuit diagram or something like that, oh well, I'm trying Joel's cat dump or whatever. It works pretty good. But I did these modifications, folks. You might want to try this instead. That's exactly why I post the information. It's to inspire and build upon and upscale if you can, if you want. So that purpose is being served. Yeah, well, getting me organized, that's what I'm trying to do here. There's a few people I talk to on email and back and forth, nothing serious though. Like as I say, I'll get excited when I actually see something serious, but there's a lot of inquiries, that's for sure. Private emails, people that, just out there send various propositions, I've been asked to go many places around the world already that apparently they were paying everything. And, when you don't know these people and you're all alone and you don't have a circle, it's not something I'd be open to for the moment. But if I had my own money, my own resources, I'd be, for my own, it'd be like, okay, but I don't want to be dependent on you. I'll pay for my own plane ticket. I'll buy my own hotel where I want to go, and I'll meet you guys at the lab. That kind of thing, yeah. But until I'm in that position, I wouldn't just subject myself randomly like that to people I don't know, even if their resume looks great. But yeah, I mean, I get those. I really do. Mysterious sometimes because some of them disappear and never come back, while others, every month or so they poke with a new email. Just wondering, talking to a few people, we might get something off the ground. We'll keep you in the loop. Okay, nice. Thank you for, I'm nice. I don't dismiss them or anything, but I politely, when I see something that makes sense, we'll talk, right? But it would be best to have, local. But the locals just don't get it. And, going to school with them, the people my age, I was doing this stuff in grade 8, showing them, crystal resonance. And the teacher gave me, a C on my science project. I got made fun of a lot at school because everything I did, they didn't understand. So yeah, I mean, still being here, we're all grown up, but they remember me from grade 4, 5, 6. How the teacher laughed at all my projects and Joel was an idiot. So it's very hard to associate with these people, and so I do my own thing. And I know by being online, it's not crazy. It's just not understood around here. That's all. Yep, I actually almost failed that. I remembered that, a crystal oscillator. Teacher had no clue what it was. Gave me a C, a science project. Uh, this was in grade 6. Can you believe it? In grade 6, I had a whole electronic thing built. Teacher didn't know what it was. I guess she figured it was like steampunk. It was just me that glued a bunch of components together with a light. Ta-da. That's probably what she thought it was. Because here I am talking about resonance and frequency and everything in grade 6, and they're like, these kids are coming in and putting a flashlight on a prism and going, look, the rainbow. That's their project, right? And they're getting the A+. So there always have been this bias and community unfairness towards me, I've noticed right from the start, which lingered my ability to go out there and show people all this interesting stuff. Yep, small isolated towns, folks. It could be just as simple as having to wear glasses and you're that different person in the class. It's called Four Eyes a lot. Weird, I don't even wear glasses no more. That corrected itself. What was it? I think it was cross-eyed. So by the time I was in grade 8, no more glasses. That was great because that it was so annoying, when they have glasses and it's not because they can't see. So you're never wearing them, right? They're a pain. Oh, hello everyone. Just seeing who's on the comments here. If you haven't noticed, the laptop here is kind of like the moderation of the live feed. It's behind me, so I don't see it when I'm talking towards the camera here. Yeah, small towns there, they make that label from a very early start, and then it's with you until you die, unless. But if what I've noticed in a small community, if it's an outsider, like someone from a big city that nobody knows, and they come in and they want to open up a corner store or something, everybody is going to be Google Gaga. They're the best. But you were to do, like, if I were to do the same thing and I decide to open up a corner store down the street and risk all my income and whatever in that, 90% will boycott it just because it's me. So that's that small town mentality that I find is really kooky, but humans are such strange people sometimes to figure out. So yeah, I've been rambling. I didn't have anything to say. Can you imagine? And I've been going on for 30 minutes now. Not bad for not having anything to say. And then just reading through the comments. Yeah, so yeah, small towns. So, and it's too cold here. As soon as I can, I think what I'm gonna do is apply through housing, but it's like a 25-year or more wait. Somewhere Toronto, south of Toronto for housing. So maybe by 25, 30 years from now, if I'm still alive and my senior years, at least my bones won't hurt in this frigid cold because it's really tough. So there's a long, long, long term way out. All I have to do is apply and be on the list. But you got to apply, right? I mean, it's not going to do it on itself. You're 18, you're like, there's a lot of time. Next thing you know, you're 25, and then 30, and then 35, and then 38, and then I haven't done it yet. And when you calculate 25 to 30 years at this point, it's like I better boogaloo, or I won't get my dream retirement. So, yeah, I guess I'm just going to wrap it up. Just wanted to say hello to everyone and tell everyone that I'm still alive, just taking it easy, trying to focus my efforts on fundraising myself to come up with some basic tools in that for the next phase of my research. And take it from there and see where that goes. And I'd like to, of course, thank everyone for helping out, sharing, commenting. That kind of thing is what propagates the information through YouTube. So the more social interactions, the better it is, even if it's just a thumbs up. YouTube senses that as interaction, and they push the information, and more people with similar interests can see it. And we may change the world one day. Who knows? So on that note, just have yourselves all a wonderful rest of your day, folks. Thank you all.